Steven, how the hell do we get to this point?
Well, Derek, that's what we're going to discuss in the next hour. That's not a simple answer to your question. What do you mean? How do we get to this point? Like, what are we pretend? What are we
I mean,
regarding here? What are we pertaining to? Are we talking about the Warriors? Are we talking about how I'm in Round Rock, Texas? I took a plane to answer that one.
yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory when it comes to how you got to Round Rock, Texas. But as far as the Warriors going from 3-1 to now having a game 7, that's what I'm talking about, Steven. And I know how they got here. They obviously lost 2 games in a row. I
Yeah.
just can't fathom them blowing a 3-1 lead to this team, but yet it looks like it's going to happen.
Well, yeah, but we were saying the same thing when it happened with the Kings, right? Like we said this exact same thing. They had a chance to close it out. They didn't. Or did they? Or were the Kings up 3-2 in that series?
Kings were up 2-0 in that series, and the Warriors won 3 straight.
Right. I think we're in the same position we were last time. Do I feel the same way? Kinda. Yeah. I think all of us were a bit shocked that Steph was able to score 50 and they got by them in Sacramento. But it's crazy, man. It shouldn't have happened. They should have got this done in 5 games. They should have had this one over early, done it in Houston and not laid an egg because I told you, man, with Steve Kerr benching these guys with, you know, 8 minutes left in the third quarter, it's like, all right, well, you better win when you're at home then if you're going to sit your guys for the entire time. You never know what can happen. Like with with a guy like Kerr, who's been commenting nonstop about how in today's NBA, no lead is safe, and to sit your guys with 8 minutes left in game 5 and to come out like that in game 6, it's kind of embarrassing, man. And I can understand why anyone would be down on them potentially winning a game 7. I get it.
That's kind of where I'm at. Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. Steven is in Round Rock, Texas. Are you going to Austin when you're there?
I'll be going to Austin tomorrow. I was here
Tasty.
I was here for we've been here for this garage sale, and that just took place all through the morning. I thought it was going to be an all-day thing, but we got up at 6:30 in the morning Central Time, and
So that's 4:30 here.
yeah, and had a bunch of people come through, and really just got done at like 11:30 here. So yeah, for a good few hours.
Nice. What was at this garage sale?
Just a whole bunch of trinkets, Derek.
Knickknacks, patty wax.
Knickknacks, patty wax, no dog bones.
Ah,
People coming up asking for lawn equipment, no lawn equipment. Some extra Christmas stuff, a couple of tables, got rid of the tables.
okay.
You know, no, it's a big thing. A lot of people showed up, man.
Nice. And this
Good
is Jesse's
turnout.
mom's place?
Yes, correct.
Cool. And are you grabbing some barbecue while you're in Austin?
We will be grabbing some barbecue, but soon we're going to be getting some Raising Cane's.
Yes. Raising Cane's is a great place. The novelty of it is ruined by it coming to the Bay Area. So now that we have Raising Cane's by the Oakland airport,
right?
You know, when you go to the South, you're like, oh, Raising Cane's. It's like, yeah, we have it on the West Coast now. But
yeah,
if you have to go to one barbecue place, I would recommend Franklin's, long ass line if you're willing to wait, or Salt Licks.
So Salt Lake, we're not going to. I forgot where we're going. I know Franklin's. Franklin is like worldwide.
It's famous for its barbecue. Yeah,
that's extremely famous. We're not going to that one. I forgot where we're going tomorrow, but we're going to a pretty popular one around here,
nice.
Around Austin at least. I forgot what it's called.
You going down 6 at all or Rainy?
And we might go down. Terry Black's is where we're going.
Oh, Terry Black's a great spot.
Yeah, so we're gonna be going there. And Austin, actually, we still got to figure out like where we're going. We don't really have like too much of a plan, but I mean, we're going to be going in there on Sunday, and then on Monday morning, I got to wake up at like 4 to get on the early flight, and then we're arriving at like 9 a.m. at home. So, you know, not a ton of time to exactly celebrate or do anything crazy in Austin.
Yeah, well, let's see. Tomorrow, if you're doing Terry Black's, I guess you could go to Barton Springs.
What's that?
Barton Springs is like it's where basically ACL's held every year for the music event. Just like basically a place where you could go swimming in a lake.
Oh,
It's nice. If the weather's nice, which I'm assuming it's very hot this time of year.
Dude, it was it's everything. Like yesterday, it was cloudy at first, then the sun came out for like 10 minutes. It was like
That's Texas.
you're sweating. Then the next, it was like windy. It was a little colder. Thunderstorms going crazy at night. Wild,
Yeah.
wild stuff.
It could go anywhere with Texas
Mhm.
weather. It could be hot as hell one moment, and then it could be just pouring rain, and then
Mhm.
the sunshine comes in. But there was no sunshine last night. God, I'm so good with transitions. The Warriors, they blow it, man. They lose 115 to 107 in game 6. And basically, the Rockets have figured them out when it comes to playing this zone defense, where they're forcing them to. I mean, they're forcing Jimmy Butler not to go inside. There is no inside game for him right now. Şengün and Steven Adams are closing the lanes, so it's forcing them to shoot threes, and they're just not landing right now. And as I was talking about towards the end of the regular season, it's just not sustainable. And even with the playing game, where I thought, okay, we can just get by with Jimmy Butler applying all the offense. No one else is picking up the slack. Brandon Pajemski has been inconsistent when it comes to scoring, but then again, everybody has. Buddy Hield and just a non-factor last night. I
Mhm.
know that he's been starting lately, and he had great defense in Game 4. But
Yep.
since that time, he's been a liability on defense, and he's just not shooting well. Moses Moody, I understood the matchup against him and Alfred Şengün is not favorable for the Warriors, but I think he should be playing more. But Steve went a different direction last night because of the zone defense. He wanted more three-point shooting on the court, so he had Buddy Hield still in there, along with GP2. And that's a very small lineup, and you're not going to get rebounds with that lineup. But they anticipated coming out with a hot start and making threes, and that was not the case. The Rockets came with the same intensity that they did in Game 5. And for a team that rested for the majority of the game, I was expecting a lot more from Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, everybody involved. And I'll get to the way that they handled Game 5, but just last night, I mean, it's there for the taking, and God, they pissed it away, and now we have a Game 7, and I seriously have my doubts now, man, with them playing every other day and the lack of rest. Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler playing 42 minutes last night, getting back on a play and having to do this whole thing over again. I don't like their chances.
Unless they actually start getting some open 3-point makes from guys around them, then maybe they'll have a shot. But God, there was like a sequence where I know Pajemski kind of came back and made a three, but there was a little sequence where he chucked one up, missed it, it was wide open, and then he got a steal and went in for a wide open breakaway layup and ended up smoking that one too. It was just nonstop yesterday. Buddy Hield taking errant shots. Steph Curry going on a little run towards the end of the first half, and then both Pajemski and Hield kind of taking away from that run, also taking ill-advised shots. I do think we have to give the Rockets credit. Fred Van Vliet was the best player on the court yesterday, and he's kind of been the best player on the court these past 2 nights. Ahmed
I'd say the
Thompson,
last 3 games he's been incredible.
yeah, yeah. And then Ahmed Thompson is just a force, kind of doing a little bit of everything. And then Steven Adams, they don't have anyone who can match up with Steven Adams. Quentin Post is a great stretch big and can space the floor and do all of those things. But if his sole job as a center is to play a traditional center and he's actually got to box out, like I think I texted you this last night, but unless they teach Quentin Post how to box out a 7-footer from New Zealand, then they don't really have a shot in Game 7. And I don't think you could teach that overnight on an airplane and just say, "Hey, do this," because Steven Adams is just that much stronger than they are. And then there's a free throw discrepancy too. I mean, the 46 is a little misleading because they were doing the hack at Adams, so they're going to give them a lot more. The attempts are going to be there, but at the end of the day, they got 15 more extra points than the Warriors just based off of free throws alone. So
What do you make of the Hack Adams? That scheme or strategy was Steve Kerr was doing it, I think, in the second quarter last night. And I understand like Steven Adams is not the best free throw shooter, but it didn't go in the favor of the Warriors at all. Like I think he made 3 out of 4 attempts when it came to the Hack Adams situation. So I know Popovich did a lot with Shaq back in the day. I don't. I mean, it's just applying more points for the Rockets when the Warriors are down. I'm not a big fan of it.
Mm. Yeah, it's well, it's kind of a sign that you're almost giving up, right? Like it feels like that, almost like not that you're giving up, but you are clearly telling your defense, "Hey, you can't do anything to stop them right now. The best you could do to slow down any momentum is to just foul their best 3-point shoot or best their biggest guy, their
Yeah.
worst free throw shooter." I think that's. I mean, that was always kind of a sign of giving up. I get it when they used to do it back with the Lakers because all they had was Kobe and Shaq, and sure they had like I don't know Derek Fisher and other shooters around them a little bit, but not as much as
Don't you
the
besmirch
Rockets
the
do.
name of Rick Fox or Robert
I apo-
Horry?
I apologize that I ruined the name of. God damn it! I'm trying to think of his name from Holes.
I know. I knew you were going there. I knew
What
you
was
were going
his name
there.
from Holes? What was his
He
name?
he played a baseball player, right?
Clyde Livingston.
Clyde,
Clyde Sweet Livingston.
dude. Full disclosure, I remember being in middle school and doing a book report on holes, and I knew Rick Fox. Like I knew Rick Fox, the basketball player, but I didn't know he played that character in holes. So I
Mm.
thought like I remember like watching with my buddy and my buddy like pulling a prank on me, being like, "Oh shit, that's actually Clyde Livingston, the baseball player." I'm like, "Oh, cool." So I'm doing my book report, and
Oh
like
no.
I said out loud, I think I was something along the lines of like, and yeah, Clyde Livingston. If you don't know who he is, he's a baseball player, like actually like acting like he's like a real person. And so and someone in my class is like, "You dumbass, that's a made up person."
I always thought he was an actor just because I saw him in the movie Eddie too.
Rick Fox was in Eddie.
Rick Fox was in Eddie.
Was
Yeah,
that the one with Whoopi Goldberg?
yeah. Whoopi
Okay,
Goldberg, man, when she came in to be the coach of the Knicks
that's right.
because the Knicks sucked so bad that ownership wanted to get somebody, a fan even, to win a contest to coach the team.
Wow.
Yeah.
90s movies, you could just put anything on the screen back then and people would
Oh,
watch it.
oh, I miss it.
Back to the game. Um,
What about it, man? Seriously, like,
yeah, I know.
okay. Here's my question. Do you think beyond just what we're talking about, as far as like the other guys needing to make open shots, or even I personally think Steph Curry has to get going early. I know they're playing like some smothering defense on him, and you got to give credit to the Rockets defense, but Steph hasn't started off hot at all
Yeah.
in this series. It doesn't feel like Butler's been like that much of a threat. I mean, he's been good, but I feel like he needs to be more of like a force, which is might be asking a lot just because he already got hurt in this series. But is there anything else you think they can do? Do they need to give Guy Santos a little more playing time and they need to mix things up instead of putting Quentin Post out there because Guy Santos is probably a better rebounder? Is the Jonathan Kaminga thing, uh, is that in your mind like a real need that they have?
Well, it's on the table, as Steve Kerr said last night.
I just don't think but I'm seeing put Jonathan Kaminga in because you got nothing to lose. And I'm like, if you got to put in a player, if you got nothing to lose, this is the playoffs. You don't do that. Like, if they're going to put in a player, they're going to have to do it for a real reason. Like, do you think he can actually help them, or is this just another option because it feels like they're all out of him right now?
Basically, yeah. I mean, you're searching for answers, so let's get Jonathan Kaminga in there. Look, I don't have a vendetta against Jonathan Kaminga, but like the clamoring for playing time for him is aggressive and unnecessary sometimes. Where I feel I've said this before, I think fans would rather be right about him and his potential and what he'll do in the NBA than the Warriors winning. I
Right.
understand that the man looks like he should be an NBA all-star, a superstar even. And he has that potential, he has those traits, but it just doesn't apply to what the Warriors do. But maybe they need to change that. So I'm tired of the whole conversation, to be completely honest with you. Like, I understand he was uh he was very good against the Rockets this season in multiple games. But then they got Jimmy Butler. and he served that role better than Jonathan Kuminga has in the past. And he fits the scheme, he fits the offense, he knows what to do. Jonathan Kuminga, sure, he was getting better at it, but there are times where he goes rogue, and Steph Curry is visibly upset.
Yeah.
So if you want to play him in Game 7, fine, but don't expect him to save the day. We've seen him play in this series. It's not like he's been a DMP the entire series. He hasn't looked great. As far as what they need to do, it's simple. They just need to make shots. Like
that's where I'm at, dude. That's exactly where I'm at. Like I'm past the point of even trying to tinker with anything else. Just go with what's been working. It's not broken right now. They've had a couple of down games, but it's not broken. Don't try to do something completely different to try to fix it. That's not going to help. Like, you need Buddy Hield to actually make some shots in clutch moments. You need Brandon Pajemski to actually hit some threes. Gary Payton has been a lot better since Jimmy Butler's arrived to this team, but he was awful last night and made some stupid fouls. Like, you just need these other guys to play a lot better. I'm tired of this. You need to change the lineup. You need to change the rotations. You need to do this. You need to do that. No, you need your other guys to step up and play better. Can they get a different starting five out there? Maybe. I'm willing to hear that, but I don't need other guys potentially coming in just to appease your need for something that you think is lost, and maybe they just go in for a few minutes and it's just a waste. Sometimes you're just like, all right, you brought him in, now what? Now what? You just brought him in and there's no point to it. I don't want to see that. It's been working with this team. It's been working without Kaminga. Maybe a little bit of Guy Santos because you do need some rebounding in there, and maybe he's the only one
Yeah.
that has a cojones to actually jump into Steven Adams and try to get a rebound, because it kind of looks like Quentin Post is scared of him. I don't know if that's the answer right now, but I'm just like, I'm kind of tired of this idea that we need to change everything up just because the Rockets have dominated these last two games. I'm not about that.
Coming around to my Santos over Kuminga take, eh?
That was then. This is now.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just the bottom line here, and the Warriors should be insulted that the Rockets are playing this zone defense, where in the past, I mean, teams wouldn't dread doing this with their 3-point shooting. Now the Rockets are daring the Warriors to make shots, and Steph Curry hasn't been consistent enough. Nobody on this team has been consistent enough.
And Draymond's the other guy I forgot. Draymond, you got to step up big time, man. Come on, like it's great that you've been such a good defender and you've been so critical in this series, but they need him to step up in Game 7 and not commit as many turnovers.
Yeah, I definitely. But I mean, God, they've asked so much of Draymond, and now I think it's been taxing on him playing the 5.
Maybe.
And I mean, he'll come up clutch against Alperen Şengün in Game 4. But as you said, Steven, Quentin Post is just not ready for this moment. He was a good regular season story, but the inexperience is showing right here. He's a rookie, and yeah, he looks scared to go up against Steven Adams and Alfred Şengün. All these bigs don't look good right now. I don't have faith in Kevon Looney. I don't have faith in Trayce Jackson-Davis. The Warriors established physicality in Game 1. Then they got it back in Game 3 and 4. Since then, they have been the weaker team. And the Rockets have, God, I can't believe I'm saying this. The Warriors can't stop the Rockets' offense. The physicality they have in the post and the ability of Fred VanVleet to make threes. And we knew this whole series. It was established Game 1, and this just, has been a thing with the Warriors in the playoffs forever for the last 10 years. They may get beat in the rebound department. They may get beat in points in the paint. But they lack the consistent shooting to overcome that. They don't have that anymore. They don't have Klay Thompson to help out Steph Curry. So I don't know what you do here. I think the bottom line is you just keep doing what you did before. I would go back to the Moses Moody lineup, the lineup that you won the most games and had the most success with this season with Jimmy Butler. And just trying to make some shots. Like, I don't know what you do defensively. I mean, Draymond's been incredible when he's been covering Alfred Şengün, but the bigs can't cover this guy. So try your best when it comes to Fred VanVleet. I'm not too worried about the other offensive guys, Ahmed Thompson and Jalen Green. They've been fine. They haven't wowed me on the stat sheet when it comes to them offensively. But I think the bigger issue here is the Warriors are just not the same team that we've grown accustomed to. The one that We all expect to do certain things in the playoffs. I was guilty of, I mean, shit, I think the whole team was guilty of comparing game 5 to game 5 3 years ago against Memphis. And they were like, all right, well, whoop that trick. Very similar. We've been there, done that. We'll overcome what happened in game 5, and we're well rested. We'll be good to go for game 6. If you're going to do all that shit, then you need to back it up. So this plan that Steve Kerr had, or you know what I really think? With Draymond Green a couple weeks ago saying we knew this was a scheduled loss as it pertains to the Lakers and Nuggets, you should never do this in a playoff game, but I think that the Warriors had no interest in playing on Wednesday. I think they didn't want to travel all the way to Houston. I think they knew that it would be way too physical and way too demanding, and they were just not into playing that game. And call me crazy, I think that was kind of the thought process going into the game, and Steve may have told his bench, you guys are going to have to maybe play mop-up duty here if we pull the starters, and Jonathan Kuminga wanted no part of it. So I could be wrong there. I could be looking too much into it. That may be not fair to Jonathan Kuminga and him actually having a migraine. But you ask Matt Barnes, you ask certain people in the NBA, they don't believe what happened on Wednesday with him and being sick. So I tend to believe that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that, it's funny yesterday. Marcus Thompson talked about how Steve Kerr always references the basketball gods and how you can't piss off the basketball gods. I think they did. I think with their lackadaisical nature and no interest in closing the series out in Houston, it's backfiring in their face right now. So they thought they could handle business last night, and I thought they did too. I was 100% confident going into the game, and now I sound fucking stupid on the radio saying that. But I also blame Pat H for not showing up because he's been 10-0 this season when he shows up for Warriors games. It didn't show up last night, so I blame this loss on Pat H.
Wow. Pat H, where are you, man?
I know, man. And look at me telling him to buy like $1,000 tickets for Game 6. Regardless, I think if they lose this series, and honestly, I think they will now, which sucks because there's a video out there of me and Adam Copeland on Dirty Work saying that, same ass sorry Rockets, and now this will definitely blow up in our face, and old takes exposed will probably run with that. Hopefully not. Hopefully, I mean, we're not that big, but whatever.
Yeah, you're giving yourself a little too much credit there.
Yeah, you're probably
old
right.
takes exposed usually goes after, people of bigger stature.
Fair enough.
I'm just kidding. It could. It could. You never know if a Rockets fan tags him. It's all about who tags them, right? If someone tags, see, we're kind of asking for it now. Like if someone tags old takes exposed on one of those videos, then maybe.
I mean, and the fact that KMBR has a blue check mark and a lot of followers, that may be our undoing.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Anyway, if we get to that point, I'll definitely own it. But yeah, I honestly think this is the Warriors' plan, just blowing up in their face. They played on closing this thing out at 6. They knew how important it was to win last night. And now when you play Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler 42 minutes and expect them to just probably do the same thing on Sunday, turn back around today, fly to Houston, and try to actually give a shit in a place that you didn't give a shit last time. Like all 6 games have been Warriors winning close and the Rockets dominating.
Yeah.
And now to have that expectation where the Warriors will go into the Toyota Center and find their rhythm offensively, actually start getting rebounds, actually start defending, I have a hard time believing that this team, as they've gotten older, will be able to do that.
Yeah, it's kind of getting back to where the Warriors were before the Jimmy Butler trade, which is they need to defend without fouling. They need to stop committing stupid turnovers. Like between Steph and Draymond, they committed 9 of them last night. And overall, the Warriors had, I think, like 17, but it ended up turning into 22 points for the Rockets. And I don't know, maybe it's just me. I actually saw JD had the tweet last night, and he's absolutely right. That it seems like the Warriors just aren't working in the half court. Like whenever, at least when they're defending in the half court, or at least playing offense in the half court, because if they miss a shot, then Adams is going to, or Şengün is going to grab a rebound. Then they're just going to go on the other end and beat you with their athleticism. The only way the Warriors are going to win this is if they commit way more turnovers, at least defensively, if they actually get stops and try to beat them in transition. Because funnily enough, with normally it'd be you have to slow the game down for the Warriors in order for them to actually score. No, it seems like they need to speed the game up and beat the Rockets at their own game, because it kind of feels like the Rockets are beating them at their own game right now, which is winning in the half court. So I don't know, man. I don't know what the answer is. And like, I do think though, like, I do think a large part of it is we do have to give the Rockets credit. Like, the Warriors are
Definitely.
doing everything they can to stop Red VanVleet. We're acting like they're leaving him open on a lot of shots. No, he's getting double teamed quite a bit, and he's still making stuff work. Like, you remember that play yesterday? I think the play to me that really spoke to the loss and kind of represented the entire thing was when they fumbled. It was in the second half. It was when they created a turnover, looked like they were going to create a turnover on the Rockets. They fumbled the ball, and then Jabari Smith did. Then Jabari Smith just gets a little sidestep out to the corner, waits there. They end up getting the ball back. It's a little pass to the corner, and then he hits a three. And it was with Fred VanVleet. It was down the right-hand side. I don't know if you remember that play,
Yeah,
but
vaguely. Yeah.
there was a moment when they're like running back on the other side of the court, and Jabari Smith is smiling. Like, that to me, that's when it kind of felt like that was when the Warriors were beat, because it's like they're not making open shots. The Rockets are hitting their open shots from the guys that normally don't hit those 3-pointers. And then, like, I think Smith hit another one that was wide open. I don't know if it was back to back, but they were really close within each other. Like, that just spoke to the loss, man. That just spoke to where they were at. Everything was coming up Rockets, where nothing was going the Warriors' way. And that includes the whistle. I'll say that you don't want to ever blame the refs, but the refs made a lot of questionable calls last night
Yeah,
where
they
you're
did.
just like, what the hell was that? Like, how? You never want to blame them, and you do want to look at the Warriors and where they can improve, but they have not had a favorable whistle pretty much the whole series.
I mean, we say
So
that all the time with Steph Curry not getting calls, but
yeah,
the Warriors have always overcome that, and they're just not that team anymore. So, I mean, do you agree with me that this act that they're pulling a little bit with kind of kicking playoff games? I mean, they tried to close it out last night. They tried to close it out 3 years ago against, or 2 years ago against the Kings.
hmm
I thought they didn't really give a shit against the Memphis Grizzlies in that game 5. I didn't think they gave a shit when they couldn't close out the Clippers years ago in 2019. I just don't think like they've gotten too cocky and frankly too old to pull this act. I think that they're not in a place anymore where they can get by resting in a playoff game so you can come back and close a team out. People will take that as disrespect. And I'm surprised the Rockets haven't said anything about that. I thought that, honestly, I never expected them to win game 5, but the way they handled it, I'm surprised nobody from the Rockets has spoken about how disrespectful the Warriors handled that game. I honestly think that it was ridiculous. And Steve Kerr's on record saying, uh, I didn't want to chase this game. What you're up. You're up 3-1. They should be chasing you, man. Like the mentality the Minnesota Timberwolves had was to close that series out right then and there against the Lakers. And I know the Minnesota Timberwolves are a much younger team, but their mentality was we're not going back to Minnesota. We want this shit done. And that's how the Warriors should have gone in against the Houston Rockets. So
yeah,
was I surprised that they lost? No, but their attitude about the game was piss poor. So
yeah.
if they lose this series, we'll look back to that game. And honestly, I'll question not just Steve, but the entire team, because I don't think it's just Steve's fault. I think it was the mentality of the players too. Like, we'll kind of see what happens here.
Yeah, for him to go up to Draymond at halftime and say, like, look, dude, if you don't make a run within these first 5 minutes, then we're going to bench you. For Draymond not to say, no, 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 we're staying out here. Like, we're going to win this game. I do think that speaks to what you were saying. But the Rockets are smart, though. They're not saying anything about the Warriors. They're not going to wait till the end. They're going to wait till the very end. I think Ime Udoka has been very forthright about that. He knows what happens if you start talking during a series. Like, it's just not going to end up well for you. My favorite random thing, just my favorite tweet of the night was from Eddie Gonzalez, who I think co-hosts the podcast with Kevin Durant. Draymond figuring out the flagrant is not a tech loophole is like AI gaining consciousness. It's an advantage I wasn't prepared for, and I'm not sure how to handle at this moment. He's just going to keep on getting a flagrant until he can't
Well,
anymore. He's got what, 2 more?
well, that's the thing. Yeah, as Anthony Slater, tweeted out, when you get 4 flagrants, you're done. You're suspended.
Yeah, yeah. So, got to hold off on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
man.
would
I
say
no, I'm
so.
I'm with you though. I'm with you. Like that's gonna come back and bite him in the ass. It's classic. It's
Yeah.
classic.
So do you have faith in them closing this thing out tomorrow?
Of course I do. Of course I do. Like this is the Warriors we're talking about. I'm never going to lose faith, but it's the same way I felt against the Kings. Like you're probably going to need a Superman-like performance from Steph. You're probably going to need at least a 30 burger from Jimmy Butler. You're going to need fewer turnovers. You're going to have to play a damn near perfect basketball game
Yeah.
because they're just going to beat you with that physical stuff. Like you're going to have to hit open shots again. Stop committing turnovers at stupid times. Like 17 of them is just not going to work in a playoff game. And especially when they had 22 more free throws than you did and made 15 extra points. 15 extra points and you lost by 8. Yeah. Yes, dude. I still have faith. You know how I am. I'm never going to lose faith until they're actually done. But I'm not feeling great with them heading to Houston tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I am negative about this because it's just the fact that they look tired,
Yeah.
and I don't think they could rebound as quickly as they could back in the day.
Derek, I think what's worse. I think I'll say this. I think it's
Yeah.
worse. Sorry to cut you off,
No, no, go
but
ahead.
I think what's worse is even if they do win this game, I'm not feeling confident at all with the next series just based on them playing 7 games here and the Timberwolves playing 5
Absolutely.
against the Lakers. So I think that's even worse. Like I gotta feel confident in it with them in Game 7. All right, but now what? Now what? You think you're just gonna go to Minnesota and then beat Minnesota? Beat a team that just crushed the Lakers in 5 games, a Lakers team that had mostly been dominating you through this season? I don't know.
And they're overly confident. I mean, God, I never seen a player like Anthony Edwards be so confident and be so young, and he can back it up. He's knocked out LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and now he's looking to knock out Steph Curry. And right
Mhm.
now, I would probably favor the Minnesota Timberwolves in that series. Absolutely. With their youth and the size advantage. I know Draymond Green hates Rudy Gobert, but yeah, he's playing his ass off right now. So if we are lucky enough to get to that series, cool, we'll talk about it. But I don't have faith in that series, how quickly a
Yeah.
turnaround they'll have to have with that. It's the same thing with the Warriors and Kings. Yeah, it was awesome for Steph Curry to have that performance and put up 50 points in a game 7, but then they looked totally tired
Yeah.
and out physical. Either way, I mean Anthony Davis has always been a problem for the Warriors, but they weren't ready for that series.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just don't think that it's sad, and believe me, like I want them to win tomorrow, but I don't think we can expect the same thing with this team anymore when Steph is amazing still. But Steph can't rebound. When I say rebound, I mean come back 2 days later and play 42 minutes on Friday night and then basically have to do the same thing in a game 7. I think he's going to be tired. I think he's going to be gassed. I think it's going to be the same thing with Jimmy Butler. I think it's going to be the same thing with most of this team. I know Draymond Green said they're not senior citizens, but they are old in basketball terms. They're
Yeah.
this is the one caveat to getting Jimmy Butler. He was awesome. He was, and he turned them into a playoff team. But they are a much older team now. So I don't know how they'll be willing how they'll stand for 7 games if it's a 7 game
Yeah.
series. They needed this series to go as quickly as possible. And honestly, I know revisionist history. If Jimmy Butler stays healthy, who's to say they don't sweep this series or maybe win in 5? But I
Yeah.
don't.
You know what the random secret is that eBay Udoka kind of figured out too, and it's something you haven't seen since Game 3. He actually kept Steven Adams in. He took Steven Adams out with like over 4 minutes left in game 4. He took Steven out with like 5 minutes left in game 3. Like this one, he just kept Steven Adams in until he couldn't anymore. Like he was going to keep him in to close the fourth quarter, and that kind of changed everything. Um, I think just as far as their adjustments, because they're not doing like a whole lot in terms of roster stuff. Like
Right.
they're not playing random players that maybe need to come in. They're not like filling in for Jalen Green. They're using the same mix of guys. Like they're using that starting 5. Sometimes they'll put in Dylan Brooks. Sometimes they'll put in Jalen Green. They've mixing and matching, but they haven't done anything crazy in terms of changing up players. But they have with their minutes, and They played Steven Adams 31 minutes last night, which was, I think, a series high so far. And that might be the answer to all of their problems. Like, I know his numbers didn't really reflect it. It was mostly Şengün last night, but God, it felt like Steven Adams was just sitting in the middle and just boxing out everybody so that the Rockets could grab rebounds, or they were getting fouled. Very frustrating.
Yeah, no, it is. And Ime Udoka's had a great game plan for this series. I mean, you could say what you want about the Rockets and give credit to them. Like, they have bounced back. They're a much better basketball team than I've seen during this playoff series. I didn't think much of them in the regular season. I thought more highly of them when the Warriors lost to them like a few weeks ago on Sunday afternoon. And then after game one, I was like, this team's not very good offensively. And now they've backed it up. So give credit to their players, but really give credit to Ime Udoka for not being phased and game planning and switching things up when they were down 3-1. He's a really good head coach.
Yeah,
And the hack of Steven last night, I mean, by Steve Kerr, that's definitely textbook Greg Popovich. And it was fitting that he was going to do that the day that Greg Popovich steps down as the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs after 29 seasons and 5 championships. Steve was wearing the "Thank You, Pop" shirt before the game, along with Ime Udoka. That's textbook Raymond Ritter to get something like that done for both coaches. Good on him. Good on him to do that. Not shocking at all for Popovich to be to retire. Basically, I mean, he still will be with the organization. He's going to be a president of the team. I don't know how involved he'll be, but that's kind of like the same thing. Like I compared it yesterday to Bruce Arians, where he was, he let Todd Bowles take over, and he said he'll be affiliated with the organization, but I don't know how affiliated he is really. But yeah, when I think of Greg Popovich, honestly, in my lifetime, I know that Phil Jackson has won more championships, but to me, he's the best basketball coach of all time. And when I think of guys like him, I think of in the 3 major sports: basketball, football, baseball. The 3 guys that I consider are the greats are Greg Popovich, Bill Belichick, and me personally, Tony La Russa. I know that Joe Torre won more championships, but Tony's more my guy. I don't remember him with the A's. I remember him more with the Cardinals managing, but I just thought the way that the way he managed was, I thought, better than Joe Torre. But then again, Joe Torre won more championships. It's ticky-tacky. It doesn't matter. Like, people love Joe Torre or love Tony La Russa, regardless semantics. I think that all 3 guys are very similar, where they're kind of, surly with the media, but respected as coaches. But yeah, Popovich, I mean, I love the way he handled the media. Like, I know that some people didn't like it. I know our guy, John Dickinson, has had run-ins with him and doesn't really care for the way he's, talked back to the media. That's fine. I was a fan of it because at the end of the day, Popovich was going to answer your question if it was a well thought out question. If it was just like a yes or no thing, or like the obvious where, Kawhi Leonard's out for a playoff series against the Warriors and someone asks him, "Hey, Pop, what's it going to be like now without Kawhi Leonard?" He goes, "Oh, come on. What kind of question is that? That's like asking, like, if Steph Curry's not going to be out there for the Warriors." And then Popovich goes into a whole thing about manslaughter with Zaza Pachulia, which was one of the best rants of all time. But he, like, full disclosure, behind the scenes, Ray Ratto and my pops the next day comes up to him and is like, "When you were talking about manslaughter with Zaza Pachulia, comparing it to closing out on Kawhi Leonard, he didn't mean it intentionally, but with manslaughter, if you still kill somebody in your car, you go to jail. Were you serious with that?" And he was like, "Oh no, I was just trying to get a rise out of everybody." That was just Popovich. So he was going to fuck with the media. But then again, on the flip side, our buddy Carl Buzchek, I remember years ago asking him a very, very good question about Steve Kerr. And did you ever think when Steve Kerr was playing for you that he could become this great coach? And he goes, "Oh, absolutely." And he gave a very good response and detailed. So that was Popovich's way. He hated the whole in-game thing where he had to do interviews. He thought it was stupid. But besides that, he was fun. He wanted to, goof around and speak openly about politics. I love Greg Popovich.
In his defense, look, I'm not trying to disparage anyone that does this for their job, but I think even they know those mid-quarter interviews are stupid.
Yes.
Like, they are kind of useless. I don't. It's almost like ESPN's halftime show last night, where they came back from a commercial break and all they got was Stephen A. Smith's prediction for what was going to happen in the second half. That they went straight to a commercial, didn't even show his face. Like sometimes things are just kind of useless, and I'm not trying to take away from what sideline reporters do, because I do think they have a very important job when it comes to explaining what's happening on the field. Injuries, maybe
Yeah.
hearing behind the scenes what a player is saying on the bench, something like that. But with the coach interview portion, mid or in between quarters, those are useless because the
Yep.
coaches don't ever take those seriously. Like I'm not saying the job is stupid, but I do think that part of the job is very dumb. So I understand where Popovich was coming from, and after a while, he got tired of it. And I think that's the thing for me with Popovich is what you just said. You as far as when thinking about him with the coach, you don't think about him for the X's and O's. Like we don't really know Popovich for that, but we do know him for his personality. And I think just as far as who he was one of the great characters in sports history. You know, just with how smart he was. You mentioned him being very open politically. I think that's kind of what the NBA needed, especially in that time and in 2020, more specifically. But you needed a guy on his side because when Popovich speaks or spoke, rather, people listened.
Yeah.
And he was just, he always was a ride or die type of guy for his players. Like, you knew that he loved his players. And he didn't have to love you in the media. That's fine. But you can only respect the coach like that. And for him to just stick with it, keep going. And you knew that he wanted to keep going for Victor Wembanyama. And I'm sad for Wemby that he can't keep going anymore. But he just, I think it's his body, his heart, his brain telling him that, look, man, you gotta slow down here. You gotta just focus on yourself. Like that's personally the way that I kind of look at those types of ailments, health issues. Is your body is you're telling it's telling you, hey, you need to slow down whatever you're doing. You need to stop
Yeah.
because and you need to focus on your health, focus on yourself, and that's exactly what he should do. So, yeah, shout out to him, man. You hear nothing but good things from about people about him. So, I mean, how can you not like him?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And yeah, he suffered a stroke this year, and Mitch Johnson filled in for the majority of the San Antonio Spurs season. And I honestly didn't think he was going to continue coaching after that one playoff series where his wife died in the middle of it.
Mm.
And I think the speculation at that point was, God, that's that's tough. And how could you be so focused on? Well, Steven's looking at a video while I'm talking very deeply about.
No, sorry, I got sent something. Keep
No,
going.
you're all good. You're all good. But I think we were all surprised that Popovich kept coaching, or maybe like that was, he didn't want to go back home and not, live that life without his wife. It's tough, and maybe basketball could fill that void. So he kept coaching, and yeah, was rejuvenated to coach Victor Wembanyama. And Greg Popovich has had a success coaching French players in the past with Tony Parker and Boris Diaw. But yeah, I mean, Steve Kerr has been incredibly influenced by Greg Popovich, obviously playing for him and just the way he is, like taking over for him as the head coach of Team America and
Team America.
Team America. America, fuck yeah. Team USA for the Olympics. Or, I mean, just it. If Popovich wasn't as open politically when it comes to the media, I don't think Steve Kerr would be. It's like basically Greg Popovich, you know, crawled so Steve Kerr could walk. Like he set the foundation. I guess I got the analogy right.
You
Whatever.
got it. You got
He
it. Yep.
he set the foundation for
Sure.
a player in his or a coach in his position to speak openly about something that, let's be frank, the players were getting chastised for. Like no one came out, like no one but no Fox News lady came after Greg Popovich and told him to stick to basketball, shut up and dribble, shut up and coach. They said that to LeBron James and Kevin Durant. Obviously, Greg Popovich was put in a unique position as a white man to speak on certain issues. So, and also spoke out against Trump and just what he was feeling about in the country. And I mean, Steve Kerr's able to get away with it in the Bay Area because of how we are politically here. In Texas, That's hard to do when you're coaching the San Antonio Spurs, but because Pop won so much, people listened and he got away with it. So I think that influence over Steve Kerr was great, and even for Ime Udoka. I will say one thing: I'm very, uh, I'll say that Mitch Johnson, the interim head coach of the Spurs, that was elevated to full time head coach, is more than deserving of getting the job. But I am a little disappointed because I always had the thought that once Popovich was going to step aside, that Becky Hammon was going to take over as head coach of the Spurs. And we all talk about change in sports. How do we do it? I think that was that. I mean, that's it, honestly. Like, I thought she was more than qualified. She was, an assistant coach for years. All the players respected her. If you want to talk about making change, then actually do it. And I think that Popovich would have been more than happy of having Becky Hammon be the next head
Sure.
coach of the San Antonio Spurs. Timing didn't work out, obviously. She wanted to coach the Aces. I get it.
She's
But
doing fine.
I know, but I was kind of hope like that's the thing though. Let's be frank. She will not have the same exposure head coach being a head coach in the WNBA as she would be the first female coach in the NBA. That would have been huge.
Sure, but you would also not have a couple of more WNBA championships back to back with one of the greatest franchises that the WNBA has seen. So, yeah, I mean, she still has a chance. By the way, like she could still absolutely coach the NBA if she wanted. There's others out there. I mean, you never know. Like the Valkyries head coach currently. To be honest, I'm blanking on her name, but she was an assistant coach for the Cavaliers before she went to the WNBA, and I'm blanking on her name right now. But no, but back to what the original point was. Yeah, it was a testament to you'd never expect. Sorry, I'm not trying to like dunk on old people here, but like a, a coach of his caliber who's done as much as he has. I mean, maybe this is like a previous generation type thing, but the older coaches would definitely gatekeep their certain jobs and their roles and whatever. Like Popovich wasn't about that. He was all about progression, growing the game, and doing those different things. But with a guy who's won 3 championships and has been in the league for you know at least almost 2 decades, which Popovich was at least maybe as not as a head coach, but still certainly one of the elder statesmen there. You wouldn't expect a lot of guys in his role to be like, yeah, come on, let's make a change here. Let's try to grow this. You wouldn't expect that from a lot of different coaches, or at least you wouldn't see that. So shout out to Popovich, man. Yeah, forgot about that really. So shout out to you.
Thank you. It was, and also it was funny. Like growing up, like I would tell people my dad's Greg, and they'd be like, "Your dad's Greg Papa, the head coach of the Spurs." I'm like, "No, that's a different guy."
Hmm.
But I mean, like it was cool, like just like being around the Spurs when my dad did play by play for them, and obviously the Warriors. He was an assistant head coach or assistant coach with the Warriors in the early '90s with Don Nelson. I feel like I don't know, like I haven't really met Greg Popovich, but I feel like I've always been around him, like just being with my pops or Tom's connection with him when he interviewed him for the Run TMC broadcast, and then a couple weeks later we had Popovich on the station and got to call him and talk to him for a little bit. I mean, he just seems like a cool, laid back guy. For how progressive he wasn't a fan of the way the game's played today. Like he was like all these fucking threes. Like I don't know why we're doing that these days, but it worked, and he definitely implemented that into the Spurs winning the 2014 NBA Finals with the most beautiful basketball I've ever seen. With the way that they've dominated, the way they dominated that series with their shooting and their defense against the Miami Heat. But yeah, what I'll remember most about Greg Popovich though is the way he handled the media. I have one interaction that is my favorite. There's so many sideline interviews. There's Charles Barkley asking him one too many questions, or some people like who's my guy in L.A. What's his name? Oh, damn.
George Sedano.
George Sedano. Thank you, Stephen. Um, George Sedano was interviewing him, and he was like, just asked one question. He's like, "Well, I think I'm gonna get out while I'm ahead here. So, any more questions?" He's like, you can ask another one." It was just a simple yes or no thing. He goes, "No, he's playing good," and like that's his interactions with the media were just incredible. So, but there was one in particular that just always just makes me laugh my ass off. This is Greg Popovich being interviewed after a loss in the NBA playoffs, but there was this man by the name of Scoops Callahan. I don't know if you remember this individual, Steven. It was this guy from the Big Ticket in Dallas who played a character like he was a 1920s news reporter, and this was his interaction with Greg Popovich.
Talk about the Hornets.
Champ, tell me about your fiery Francophile, the Parisian torpedo, Tony Parker. Can he continue to be your main butter and egg man and still cook the boys from Big D?
Am I being punked or something? Or...
that guy, the way he does, can he be your main butter and egg man and clip the boys a Big D? That's one of my all-time favorite moments. Of Greg Popovich doesn't even crack a smile, just like, am I getting punked here?
Yeah. I always liked his interviews with Craig Sager.
Yeah, those were incredible as well.
Yeah, and when Sager retired and all those sort of things, and also when he passed away.
Yeah,
Popovich was just so, he always came off as like a little standoffish, but just when he passed away, you could tell like, oh no, this guy, like there was something in those interviews. There was a little heart in there. I did this out of love, and then when he passed away, it was just I remember like listening to what I can't exactly like remember the words, but I do remember like watching Popovich and was just very curious as to what he had to say more than anyone. On Sager, just because they always had a fun back and forth for so many years.
Oh no, it was great, and he was basically the only silent reporter he respected. Where Sager had been there for a long time, and Sager was known for the flashy suits, so he would give him shit about his suits and everything.
All the time.
Yeah, there was mutual respect there. So yeah, congratulations to Greg Popovich, and we look forward to what he does next as the San Antonio Spurs move forward without him for the first time in 29 seasons. Stevie, want to do a little Jackass of the Week?
Oh, Jackass of the Week. Oh, okay.
Do you have anybody in mind or no?
You go first, and I'll try to think of someone.
Okay, and I know I just kind of spurred this on you, so
yes, you did.
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't tell you ahead of time we're doing Jackass of the Week, but it's our weekend show.
I might have to do you. You are my Jackass of the Week, Derek, for springing this on me so early.
Well, I don't think that's Jackass worthy.
No. Keep going.
All right, my Jackass of the Week is Joy Taylor.
Whoa!
For this take.
With all due respect, I don't care about quarterback evaluators. You don't know what you're talking about.
They literally don't know.
You have no idea what you're talking about.
They literally do not know.
You're guessing, and sometimes you're right, and most of the time you're super wrong.
Super wrong.
They do not know how to evaluate the quarterback position. I say that with an immense amount of respect.
But you're not wrong.
But you don't know what you're talking about.
God, I love Paul Pierce and Keyshawn Johnson just going with the flow there.
He also doesn't know what does Keyshawn know what literally means? You literally don't know. You literally do not know. That's not what literally means, dude. You don't use literally in that. Come on.
Yeah. It's like who we watched the other night, Kevin Garnett trying to say what was it?
What, equivalent?
Equivalent. He just made up some noises instead of saying equivalent.
He said crolif.
Crolif.
All
right. Okay. Look, a lot of people are having this take now after Shedeur Sanders fell to the 5th round. I think it's lazy. I think it's just like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Why is no one saying, like, obviously some people evaluated Cam Ward and thought that he should go first overall. This is just one instance. And now we're talking about how quarterback evaluators don't know shit. What about, like, Josh Allen, or a guy like the evaluation of Josh Allen was he's not very good in college. And then he developed into a very good player. It happens all the time. So I know Joy Taylor has been mocked lately for what she does, off screen and her whole lawsuit and what she did with Emmanuel Acho. I'm not here to grill her on that, even though you can make what you want of that whole thing. But just this take is lazy, and you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, there are men that have devoted their lives to scouting quarterbacks. So I understand people are upset because Shedeur Sanders is a huge star, and a lot of people don't watch college football, so that's the biggest guy they can name. But, like, it was more than just the evaluation process. It was how he handled himself, how he conducted himself with coaches, with general managers, with owners. It was a bad reflection on him. So just because Shedeur Sanders fell to the 5th round doesn't mean you should just tear into talent evaluators. I think that's just a fucking asinine comment.
I think it's just what they do on FS1.
Yeah.
There's no basis to her actually saying what she's saying. Like, there's no evidence to back up her claim, to back up that hot take, whatever. But it's just the popular thing right now. Is if you are like it turns into this weird dynamic of being like for the player or for the sport. And no one ever wants to be for the sport or for the people who make the decisions. And I get that. But I think kind of being a player, almost apologist is the way to go. Do I feel bad for Shador with what happened as far as the prank calls go? Sure. But again, we just jumped to the conclusion that he was just some first round pick out of nowhere. And like, not out of nowhere. I guess he was having success at Colorado, and the completion percentage and the stats and all those things were up. But it wasn't after playing like big time talent. We mostly did it, I think, because of the name.
Exactly.
Like, we just said, this guy's going to be the number one pick. Should he have dropped to the 5th round? Maybe not. But we've seen it before recently. Like, Trey Lance should not have been a 3rd overall pick. Like, that was a 5th round talent.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think there's other teams that see it's not just the talent either. Like, that's not why he dropped to the 5th round. Is it right that they don't want the headache that is going to be Deion Sanders if he's on the team? Maybe not. Maybe that's unfair to Shador. But I do think that could be a real issue. It's like, especially if this guy's going to be a backup. Like, can you imagine what happens when your starting quarterback struggles for one game?
Yeah.
Can you imagine the pushback that's going to be going on? And the Browns have to deal with that. And it felt like the Browns were not forced into making this pick, but they just needed a best player available, and maybe Shador was the best player available.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think I'm kind of – it's the same as the Jonathan Kuminga thing. I'm over talking about Shador. Like, I just am. Maybe it could get interesting if, the Browns end up stinking it up, and then he beats out Dylan Gabriel in training camp, and then Shador's the backup, and he comes into the league, blah, blah, blah. But at this point, right now, I'm kind of tired of it. Frustrated by it.
I don't blame you, because it's, people want to talk football right now, and believe me, I'm all about talking football, but there's not a lot to talk about. So that's the go-to thing. And people say that Dylan Gabriel, when it came to interviewing, was way more impressive than Shador Sanders as far as drawing up plays on a whiteboard and basically being like an offensive coordinator's like best friend when it comes to scheme and terminology of how you run an offense. So he may not have the talent of a Shador Sanders, but he may have a leg up on him because he's a teacher's pet when it comes to quarterback play or guys that, coach that position. Mm-hmm. So I would tell people, get ready for Shador Sanders to not make the Cleveland Browns, for him to get cut. Because there's a reason why they took Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round, and Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski don't look thrilled drafting him in the 5th round. So I can see it already. Like, come training camp, it's on First Take on the bottom line. Were the Browns right in releasing Shador Sanders or cutting him? And Stephen A. and everybody will have their opinions of how this is unfair for Shador. Like, he may flash in a preseason game. Like, that's good enough for him to play. The truth is, and I'm guilty of this, and you're guilty of this, people don't know what the fuck they're talking about most of the time when it comes to football. Just because you think something's good could not be the same thing for somebody else. So I would just say get ready for Shador Sanders to not make the Cleveland Browns roster. It's going to be a crowded quarterback room. He could land somewhere else. And yes, he will be a talking point if your quarterback doesn't play well. Like, I could see Shador Sanders being picked up by the Dallas Cowboys, and that would be First Take's wet dream. Where, like, if Dak Prescott doesn't perform well one game, it's like, should they go to Shador? I see it already, so I'm tired of the whole talk about it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but it's just a popular thing right now. And it's the only thing that's going to get any interest with the NFL. Because the NFL, there's, like, it's like Diana Rossini thinking she's saying something profound when she says that, well, the 49ers are closer with Brock Purdy closer than we may think.
No, I know.
What does that mean, Diana?
I know.
I'm sorry. She does an awesome job. Like, I'm not trying to, do that, but
she's got the scoops, man. Got to fill that episode of Scoop City.
But I'm just like seeing like this, and I didn't even listen with the sound on. I just see the quote, and like Chase Daniels, like, oh, I'm like, that's not interesting. It's not. He's under contract for another year anyway. Like, he's not going to hold out. He's at voluntary workouts. They're going to get the deal done. As soon as he got to voluntary workouts, I was done hearing about the contract. All right, he's there. If he
Yeah.
held out and he's not showing up, and then that story might be a little more interesting. But I think they're all just trying to fill time here because there's not really a lot going on in the NFL. This may be the slowest period for the NFL right now, is when they're at voluntary programs, rookie mini camps, and they're just waiting for these OTAs and then the mandatory mini camps to start. So I think that's just what they were doing, is just trying to fill time. Hey, I have this take about Shador that's 2 weeks old. Let me get it off.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. No, exactly.
You
And yeah,
literally
yeah,
don't know.
there isn't going. I mean, yeah, the Purdy update was ridiculous. I think the more interesting thing is that they were offered a second round pick for George Kittle the night before and turned it down, which I'm like, that's interesting. And an aging 31-year-old, and you turned down a second round pick for him. Most teams wouldn't do that, but I understand why the Niners kept George Kittle and gave him the contract.
Mhm.
Do you have a jackass of the week, Steven?
No, not really.
Okay, fair enough.
I
Should we
got
do-
nothing.
No, that's fair. You did your nice guy of the week or nice act of the week last podcast with the harmonica group.
Oh, that was great.
Yes. Before we get out of here, you want to do a little pop culture catch up?
Okay, what you got?
You got anything? You been watching anything? Watch anything on the plane right over?
Shoot, man. I think I told you, but we finished up The Pit, and
Yeah, that show on HBO Max.
yeah, and that is about as gritty of a show as I've seen. And
Yeah, with that
it's-
being on HBO, I'm sure it's way more intense of any doctor series than like ER or House or anything like that.
It's very real, and there's not like and I'll kind of spoil it, but I'll also say, like, you can't really spoil it. It's just there's not like a ton of drama to where there's like a huge twist or something like that. You literally feel like you're just watching doctors in an ER. And speaking to our friend who is a doctor, he said, like, oh, people in the hospital love this show because it's super realistic as far as like the treatments, the random illnesses that you'll get, or the random things people will go into the emergency room with. There is one big thing that happens, but so that's what I won't spoil. But yeah, the show I think I've said this on the pod already, but I'll mention it again. Each episode is an hour of this guy's shift. And the main character was the other guy from the ER, not George Clooney, but the other guy.
Gotcha.
And each hour is the hour of their shift from 7 a.m. till, again, I'm not going to ruin it, but till the end of the shift. And it's really good. So I highly recommend it for everyone. And it keeps you hooked, man. So The Pit is what I got for pop culture catch up. That's the one. I didn't really watch anything on the plane ride over. I mostly read. I'm reading The Breaks of the Game right now, which is about the late 70s Blazers, and
Okay.
mostly read and slept. So that was my
Nice.
plane ride.
Nice. Yeah, as far as pop culture catch up, haven't really watched. I mean, I've been watching Righteous Gemstones, and that show's going to end tomorrow. I think it's a fantastic show, and I can't recommend it enough.
I couldn't get into it.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't. I watched the first season, and I was just like, eh.
You weren't like you're not really like a Danny McBride guy when it comes to shows of Eastbound and Down or Vice Principals?
I'm a big Danny McBride guy, but I think Vice Principals and this show really fell flat. That's just me.
Vice Principals too?
Yeah, I thought they both kind of sucked.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, I love me some Walter Goggins in both roles. I thought
Get his name right, Derek. It's Walton.
It's Walton, not Walter.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Walter sounds my man. But yeah, Righteous Gemstones I think has been a great show, and it's ending tomorrow. So been watching that, Last of Us, The Studio, the John Hamm Show, for Your Friends and Neighbors. I did come across this trailer though for the movie Him. Have you seen this, Steven?
Yes.
Okay, let's play it for the audience, and then we'll give our quick reactions to this.
Do you want this? I said, do you want this? If you want to transcend the game, you have to dig deep. Your mind and your body have to be in sync. Talent is how hard you're willing to work. No days off. No sleep. We grind. I'm never good enough. I'm never good enough. That's how great people think. So you're gonna have to ask yourself, what am I willing to sacrifice? This ain't a fucking game, man. This is everything. Do you want this? What are you willing to sacrifice? You fucking say it! Say it! Say it! Everything! And show me.
I mean, it's interesting. I just don't know what the hell it's about. But yeah, Jordan Peele being involved with a football movie. I guess the premise is like Marlon Wayans is this older quarterback, and this new and upcoming quarterback has to prove to him how much he's willing to sacrifice or how much he's willing to become a great quarterback. And I guess there's demons involved and whatnot. So I love that there's mystery involved with the movie. It could be incredibly weird, but I'm kind of down for it.
I'm intrigued. Color me intrigued by this one, Derek.
Color me intrigued.
Yeah, we've seen sports mixed with drama, sports mixed with comedy. We haven't really seen sports mixed with horror, thriller type stuff. So I'm interested to see where they go with this one. I don't know if this is like a movie theater movie, but I'll certainly watch it. Like, I don't know when, but I got to.
Yeah, no, it's definitely that's a good word for it, Stephen. Intriguing. Along with I haven't seen it yet. I've heard great things. I might go check out Sinners later today if I just pop into a theater. Have you seen that yet?
No, not yet, but that's the one everyone's talking about.
Yeah, definitely. All right, there's a movie also with The Rock coming out where he plays a former UFC fighter. We'll play that another time, though. Looks actually pretty interesting. I think it's called The Smashing Machine. Anyway.
It is. They already made a documentary about it on HBO, which you can't find. But it's apparently one of the best sports documentaries like ever made. That just you can't ever see because it's just not streaming anywhere. So it's interesting that they're making a movie about it. I'd rather watch the doc because I don't really care to watch The Rock. But that's just
really.
Yeah, I'm over The Rock. I've been over The Rock for a long time.
Okay, hold on a second here. Let me pull it up. I honestly think that. What's up?
What's he going to say? Give me the ham and eggs.
Give me the ham and eggs.
Yeah. Well, you can't fight anymore. Okay. Well, what about the bacon? Oh well. It's like it's cheesy. Maybe that's just only Fast and Furious.
Well, I think he's actually I think he's like attempting to act like legitimately in this movie. Hold on, real quick. We'll play this. Maybe. This is The Smashing Machine, the new movie where The Rock plays former UFC fighter Mark Kerr.
Probably looking at my eyes.
How did that happen?
Well, have you ever heard of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the UFC?
That's the bloody thing they're trying to ban.
This guy is the best he has ever seen.
Do you hate each other when you fight?
Absolutely not.
How do you know Mark Kerr?
Oh, we go way back. But he's a buddy of mine.
Come on, baby. Too much?
Never.
Too much?
No.
Please welcome in his Octagon debut, Mark Kerr!
Winning is the best feeling there is. It's 40,000 people, and they're cheering you on. There's no other high like it in the world. No contract, no money?
No money.
Do you have any stronger pain medication?
Advil?
Advil?
Yeah.
Don, would you like
No.
some? They're handing them out like candy. Let's all get in. Let's all, everybody get in. Yeah, Don, can you take this picture for us?
Yeah.
What are you thinking at the beginning of the fight?
It's simple. Am I going to hurt him before he hurts me?
Yes, there were times, I'm sure
This Grand Prix to crown the greatest fighter in the world. He has come back from the brink. Let's see if he can pull out a victory over Mark Coleman. Have you spoken to either about fighting such a good friend for a life-changing amount of money?
I faced all,
I just need you to let me in.
Always about you. Only about fighting you.
Let's fucking go. Big strong man. I love you. Think he wants your autograph.
Sure, no problem. No fighting.
I don't know. I mean, it's definitely got like a kind of a Raging Bull feel to it, but and I don't know if The Rock has the acting chops for it, but he definitely is going for it.
Yeah.
And this guy's story is interesting. I do want to see the documentary, but yeah, as you said, Steve, it's not anywhere on streaming, so I've had to look up details of it, and yeah, it's an interesting story. So if The Rock is got the acting chops for it, I'll definitely check this out.
And it's Benny Safdie. Benny Safdie's a really
Yeah.
good director. So
Director of Uncut Gems. All right,
Yeah.
everybody. We'll be back on Monday, and we'll see what becomes of this Warriors series. Either we're talking about the offseason or we're talking about them going up against the Minnesota Timberwolves. To everybody in the chat today, thanks to Danny Golding TV. What's up, Danny Golding? Yeah, did not do a good job of promoting this beforehand. So to our usual guys, we'll see you on Monday for our usual show. Probably do it a little earlier that day because we got Giants baseball against the Cubs relatively early, so I can get off early from the show, and we can start this thing maybe around 5:30ish, if that's good for you, Steven, unless you want some sleepage after your travels.
I think 5:30 is good.
All right, then. We'll see you on Monday. Steven, have a great time in Austin /Round Rock. And say what you always say.
No, it's just our opinion, man. Where's the ham and eggs?